Golden Cooler, a formidable foe or a mere footnote in the Buu saga? Why do I ask this? Well, that's because this question is important for part 21 of What If Raditz Fought Goku at Kame House. Now, if you haven't caught any of this series yet, or you're just new here in general, please stop right here. Part 1 of the series is right above my head. Go there, leave a like on the video, and subscribe. It will help this channel out immensely. And I'll see you when you catch up. In our last part, we had the surprise appearance of Raccoon end with Videl getting kicked around and Gohan getting into a rage. Spavovich and Yamu surprised everyone by coming out of the stands and extracting the energy, just like in the original. Both of them escaped while Raccoon was knocked unconscious, and in following them, they managed to find Babidi's secret lookout. In this version of events as well, things went a lot more smoothly, at least for a while. Deborah was even felled without much issue by an even more powerful Gohan than in the original series. However, things took a turn for the worst when none other than Cooler stepped out of the darkness to face them. They were all teleported to the desert, and a confident Cooler with an M sported on his forehead and full knowledge of what the fusion is and the fact that that's the only realistic way for him to be stopped, spoke with confidence, and the battle began. Let's continue. Cooler lunged forward with a smile on his face. He began fighting the Dragon Team, and immediately they realized he wasn't much stronger than originally. However, he was a tiny bit more powerful, perhaps through a bit of training or maybe even power given to him through that M on his forehead. Whatever the case, so long as he didn't go into the golden form, they were actually going to be able to hold off pretty well. However, they could tell Cooler was just toying with them. Goku, thinking pretty quickly, decided to try and use instant transmission to get back to the arena and regroup with one person that he could fuse with. However, there was something blocking him. Some sort of darkness shrouding the area and preventing him from sensing anywhere outside of the desert. This wasn't good. Your instant transmission will not work here, son Goku. Babidi was fully aware of this technique and knew of ways to stop it from happening. You have to stay here and fight me as is. In fact, the only person outside of the desert that knew what was going on was Dende. From the lookout, he could see everything happening. Although he couldn't sense them any longer, he knew that they were in trouble. He implored Nappa to go help, but Nappa objected. Haha, no, little green! The Saiyans down there got it! I'll head to the tournament, though, and gather people up in case things take a turn for the worst. My job's to protect you, little man. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. With that, Nappa flew off, but not towards the desert, instead to the tournament arena to gather everybody up. Back in the desert, the battle was raging on. However, Cooler had still not gone golden. They were wondering why. But it dawned on Piccolo before anyone else. Telepathically, he decided to communicate what was on his mind. I can't believe I hadn't seen it before. It's obvious. He's trying to stall for time and suck out as much energy from us as he can. We need to force him into his golden form and get this battle done and over with as fast as possible. Everyone else was honestly shocked that they hadn't realized it sooner. It was true. Cooler was just buying time and letting everybody sap energy directly to freeing Majin Buu. The quicker the battle was done, the less likely it would be that Buu would be awakened. They knew what they had to do. Quickly, they began coordinating their attacks as best as they possibly could. They put Cooler so much on the back foot that he finally did go into his golden form. He didn't seem too happy about this, though. He knew that they were on to him. I suppose you monkeys aren't as idiotic as I took you for. Very well. There are more fighters on this planet Earth. If I can't gather the energy from you to free Majin Buu, I suppose I can get it from elsewhere. That being said, I suppose this shall be a close one. Golden Cooler began his assault, and immediately the tone of the battle shifted. Trying to avoid extra power leaks, it didn't help the situation that the likes of Goku and Raditz were not going into Super Saiyan 3. In terms of battle strength, Vegeta was the one putting on the best show right now, having mastered the likes of Super Saiyan 2, unlike the others out there. But it still wasn't enough. 4 Super Saiyan 2s, Piccolo and Krillin using the tricks that he possibly knew, weren't quite enough to fill the gap against a Golden Cooler. Shin and Kibito also weren't much help as well. But what about Caracol? Well, he had kind of frozen a little bit. He wasn't being as helpful. Sure, when things came his way, he was putting up a bit of a fight, but for the most part, he seemed to be lost in thought. Piccolo telepathically communicated with him as well. Caracol, what are you doing? Get your head in the game, we've got a fight to finish! But Caracol telepathically communicated back. Master, I know, but I think you know that this isn't going to go the way we need it to. Unless, of course, we do one thing. What are you talking about? What kind of a trick do you think we've got up our sleeves that we haven't yet shown? You know exactly what I'm talking about, Master. There's one thing that we Namekians can do that he wouldn't have the time to stop. That stopped Piccolo in his tracks as well. He knew exactly what Caracol was referring to. Namekian fusion. Piccolo did think about it. The power that he would get would be pretty substantial. Right now, he was still no weakling. He wasn't as strong as any of the Saiyans present, but he was someone that could give someone like Nappa a run for their money. And actually, he could really put Gohan on his toes as well. He was about as strong as a Super Saiyan 2 when they first unlock it. But that gap, it was slowly getting larger. However, the bond that he had with Caracol was pretty strong. And the stronger the bond, seemingly, the more powerful the boost is. It could work, but at what cost? Putting another Namekian into his mind wasn't something that he was too keen on. He already had Nail and Kame in there as well. Even though the latter was just a rejoining of him, they become two separate beings, re-merged into one. But in the end, there was no deliberation to even be made. Piccolo had a keen mind and knew that things needed to be done as quickly as possible, so he caved and agreed. The first chance that they got, Piccolo and Caracol flew to each other, and while Golden Cooler was distracted by the 4 Saiyans, Krillin, and the 2 Kais, they combined. There was a brilliant, bright, white flash of light, and even Golden Cooler was a little blinded by it. He had no idea what had just happened, still being unable to sense Ki, and too arrogant to bother to learn such a technique. But who stood before him was a combination of Piccolo and Caracol. Still deemed Piccolo, he had kept the dominant mind, but he was a combination of the two nonetheless, and he was powerful. The bond that they had shared had indeed caused a substantial power boost, and now he was beyond the likes of a Super Saiyan 2 by a long shot. Without a word, Piccolo rocketed directly at Cooler, and Cooler, expecting not much of a challenge, was quickly surprised as a punch went firmly into his gut. This wasn't something that necessarily sent him reeling beyond compare, but it was the first time someone managed to land a punch on him like that, aside from the fusion Gogeta. And then it dawned on him. That Caracol fellow, he was nowhere to be found. Those pesky Namekians must have been up to something. Cooler started fighting back, and he had the upper hand, but it wasn't as one-sided as he expected. This version of Piccolo was certainly putting up a formidable fight. He was well beyond a Super Saiyan 2. Maybe even what's beyond that. But in the heat of the moment, Cooler forgot that he even had other opponents, and this was a mistake on his part. From behind him, he heard a scream. It was none other than Vegeta, declaring an attack. Final Flash! Golden Cooler peered behind him to see an enormous beam heading directly his way. He couldn't get out of the way, though. Piccolo kicked him directly into it. This beam seared his flesh directly from behind and put him into reality, realizing that he was not fighting a one-on-one battle at all. Although these Super Saiyan 2s weren't nearly as strong as him, they weren't anyone to stop paying attention to while fighting this formidable Namekian. It was clear to him he wasn't on the winning side right now. But that being said, this final flash may not have been the best move for Vegeta to make. You see, that released quite a bit of energy, and the one that was able to stop himself from leaking the most ki from his perfected Super Saiyan 2 move may have been the one that spelled their own doom. Off in the distance, Babidi was ecstatic, celebrating with tears of joy because he had finally done it. That final flash pushed everything just over the edge, and Majin Buu was ready to be born. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you guys think? Golden Cooler's hurt, but he's not dead right now, and Majin Buu's about to be reborn. Is this going to go well for the Dragon Team? We'll have to find out. Check out this video if you think that Trunks and Goten are pretty neat. They're going to be making appearances soon, but in this, they're already doing it. Thanks for watching. Bye.